So to become a Unitarian Universalist minister, you have to be interviewed by a committee. Not too surprising, is it? To prepare to see this committee over a decade ago now, I was given sample questions which included, what is the good news of Judaism? What is the good news of Buddhism? What is the good news of Christianity? What is the good news of Hinduism? So on and so forth. I know what they were getting at. I needed to articulate the core teachings of the world religions. But what about the good news of Unitarian Universalism? After I came up with what I thought was a witty sermon title, The Gospel According to James, I found out that such a title already exists, a book about actually Mary, and that didn't make it into the biblical final cut. It was written by James the Lesser, or the Minor. I'm not going to be talking about that gospel according to James. I'm going to be talking more about my own gospel, my own good news of Unitarian Universalism. We hear enough bad news, right? From Gaza, Ukraine, and the halls of Congress throughout our days. How about some good news? My good news has all of you in it. It is very inclusive, and it is about love. Despite the failings of justice, the terror of history, and that is folding all around us, and death and suffering of innocent people, despite this all, we can live lives of contentment. But my good news of happiness for all does take some work. For some of us, happiness doesn't take that much work. It comes easy. We may have had the fortune of having pleasant, well-adjusted, and generally happy parents who modeled an authentic happiness to us. If we are someone who is just naturally happy, please be graceful and patient with the rest of us. We all have natural sort of set points to our happiness. The good news is we can become more and more happy. Many people figure this out and get happier as they age. Isn't that the good news? If we are not particularly happy, there are techniques and practices that can make us happy. That is good news. Now, the gospel according to James is based on the gospel according to Matthew. That is the Reverend Dr. Matthew Johnson, minister in Rockford, Illinois. He says the most important 3 things that we can do is to engage in positive relationships, have gratitude and self-compassion, and service to others. Those are the things that we can do to create happiness. The great thing is these are not some theological statements, but actually ones based on an 85-plus-year-old Harvard happiness study. So there's a lot of science behind it. So my gospel carries with it the cachet of Harvard. Pretty cool, huh? Positive and deep relationships with family, friends, and spouses help us live longer, find more joy, and actually prevents illnesses. Good relations keep us happier and healthier. Social connections are good for us. Loneliness saddens, sickens, and slays the spirit. It is the quality of our relationships, of course, not the quantity. Good, healthy relationships are the ones that are solid, where if we need something You know these people will help you and you will do the same. Now, like all things good in life, relationships take work. They are lifelong endeavors, but they are well worth the effort. Family feuds and fights take a terrible toll, not only on our happiness, but on our health as well. A happy marriage or partnership makes us happier. Even more so with men, but with women also, tend to live longer and healthier lives. But before all you people, single people out there, decide to get married, one of the greatest drains on our happiness are unhealthy marriages. It is worse to be in a bad marriage than to be single. We can live healthy, deep relationships, live them out with siblings, parents, children, and friends. We need one another. This is a gospel truth. I recently did a spiritual exercise as part of the listening circle that I'm in. I evaluated on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being scarce, 10 being abundant, a bunch of different phrases and thoughts like physical pain, rich memories, novels to read, access to nutritional food, financial comfort. I had to evaluate those on a scale of 1 to 10. I realized very quickly I have so much to be grateful for. In fact, I won the birth lottery. I was born in a rich nation with relative peace. And none of this was my own doing. Could I be anything else than grateful? Thanksgiving is not just a once-a-year thing. It is an everyday practice. It takes work, but gratitude is available to us. Now, it may not come naturally to us, but there are techniques and practices that we can do. For example, we can keep a simple gratitude journal. Spend 5 to 10 minutes each day and write down all the particular things we are grateful for that day. We can also verbalize what we are grateful for in the form of short daily prayers. Let us all give thanks. Give thanks for all that is our life. For the rivers that flow, for the fallen leaves, for the bare trees, for the friends we've had, for the friends we have. And here's the good news. We all have a lot to be grateful for. We can look back at our lives knowing that death might be near and still know in our heart that we have been given much. We live in houses that we probably did not build. We drink from faucets we did not forge. We talk on phones we could not have invented. We eat food we could never have grown ourselves. Self-compassion might be more difficult, but it's connected to our gratitude. It's hard to have gratitude when we don't have some level of self-compassion. And when our thoughts flow ceaselessly, we can breathe in the beauty of the moment. We can practice yoga like the past 2 Thursdays here in the church. We can train our minds to flow where they may and still remain at the center. Loving ourselves might take some practices, and that's okay. You are worth it. Your life is worth it. Now, there are a lot of books about meditative practices out there that teach us to acknowledge the negative thoughts that may come and have the wisdom to let them pass. There are walking meditations. There's this body scan meditation, which we did earlier. If you don't know where to start, go to YouTube and just write in guided meditations. Hundreds will come up. Spiritual practices teach us that there is a love holding us. We can find the stillness that is within, a sense of mysterious presence that permeates the world. You, all of you, are worthy of this sensation. The holy is within you. You deserve a sense of balance and peace. And even in the most depressing of times, a still small voice can and will emerge, giving you a sense of peace. So my threefold gospel of happiness starts with relationships, gratitude, which is linked to self-compassion, and lastly, it's service to others. If we are unhappy, helping others will make us happier. And there's a lot of science that backs this up. So give, volunteer, do something kind to someone else, bring beauty into the world. Be generous. Thank a friend for being your friend. I have to admit, I did this Friday night. I called up a friend out of the blue and thanked them for being my friend. It made their day. Write a card to someone out of the blue. Check in on that neighbor who lost a spouse and invite them over for dinner. Serving others makes you feel happy and spreads happiness, a beautiful spiral and circle of good news. Being of service means that we are involved in things and things that make the future better. We work for justice. We give back to the common good. We serve maybe on a committee here. We volunteer in RE. So mine is a simple gospel. It is not cosmic. It is not about enlightenment or heaven. It is not about sin or suffering. It is about happiness right here now for everyone. And it's a threefold path: relationships, gratitude, generosity, make friends, give thanks, be of service. There are a diversity of spiritual practices that lead us to a well-rounded contentment. Do you have any idea where this kind of gospel is proclaimed weekly and lived out? Any idea? Right here. Right here. We do it. We make friends. We give thanks. We serve each other and the world. It's what we do. Being part of a religious community is one of the best and most consistent ways to find happiness in your life. Tell all your friends the good news. So I recently had a conversation with a conservative Christian minister, and he told me his ministry was all about saving souls from hell. I told him I didn't think there was a hell. And then he kindly called me a heretic and asked me, then why do good? Why do you care about social justice so much then? Because doing good makes me feel good. It's not out of fear or guilt that we do good. The reward is much more immediate. Serving others with love is its own reward. In my gospel, there are no eternal punishments for wrongdoing. If you cheat or you are greedy, you will just be less happy right now. In a recent survey of millennials, when asked what they wanted to do in their goals in their adult life, over 80% said they wanted to get rich, 50% said they wanted to get famous, and 50% said they wanted high career achievements. You may have recalled in the news recently, the actor Matthew Perry died. He grew up not far from here in Ottawa and went to school with Justin Trudeau. He was not happy, but thought that if he became famous, he would become happy. And he was on that 90s sitcom Friends playing Chandler, and he became very famous and very rich. In the end, he was earning $1 million per episode. He achieved that millennial dream. Rich, famous, career achievements, and yet he was not happy and turned to drugs and alcohol. Money does buy a certain amount of happiness. On average, the richer you are, the happier you are, especially in this country. Wealth is a factor in our happiness, but not the biggest factor. Money is the primary way we show value on things. It feels good to get a raise, doesn't it? It shows that we are valued and respected. And what if your manager said, "You're doing wonderful work," but didn't give you a raise? Having more money does create more security and stability and allows us to go on things that make us happy, like vacations. The more money we make does make us happier, just not as much as the gospel of making friends, giving thanks, and being of service. My good news is that we can all find happiness in this life. The best way to do it: make friends, give thanks, and be of service to one another. Amen, and blessed be.